Hello, welcome to Rex Talk. This is Communicate series of Rex Talk, episode 2. As I promised earlier, in this episode I will discuss about the variants of English accent. Primarily there are 3 variants which probably spoken by the world. The first one we call it UK accent, or conventionally we call British accent. Second one is US, the States. And the third one is Aussie, Australian accent. So what is more important when we communicate to somebody else? Anyone else, maybe in your own nation or when you go outside, what is more important? We have to think about that country's accent, or we have to speak, we have to copy the one who doesn't know. I'm talking about the learners. So what is more important, the pronunciation part or the accent part? I'll immediately choose that is obviously, it is, as I already had told you in the last episode, it's obvious pronunciation part. We should think about pronunciation, that is more important. How you pronounce the word is much more important than how stylishly or how the accent you have used, which was not yours. An English language, I would say an alphabet, a word that has a standard pronunciation. Even in the pronunciation of the 3, what were the pronunciation you choose? That cannot be sometime useful, because you have to choose a standard format which is set by obviously this Oxford University, even Cambridge, the top universities that has the English language, where English language is born. So here in this particular episode, I would like to elaborate, I'll try to throw some light on this confusion of pronunciation and accent. Accent comes into action only when you are quite comfortable with a particular language. To a large extent, you speak about a country or a place where the mother tongue or it is spoken, in the same language is spoken. So somehow it would make you comfortable, and it will make the person who is listening can also be comfortable. A communication should have always it's a two-way process. What I speak and what you listen. There should be a joy of listening, there should be a joy of speaking. These two joy, if it doesn't matter, if these two things do not matter or do not interface, I think the communication cannot be called a good communication. So we have to be extremely careful about 2 aspects. Whatever you speak, it always heard by somebody else, either today or tomorrow. Either in a neighborhood or somebody else, somewhere else, it will be heard. And what we speak, it's always essentially to be heard by someone. That's the primary purpose, to be heard by somebody else. So in this way, so we have to think about various accents in such a way, what can most suit your convenience of the pronunciation which you learned. The pronunciation, primarily, I would always choose, one has to go through the UK accent, the British accent, one has to go through if you want to be comfortable in any other variant of English accent. The pronunciation is extremely important, as I said, in this, every time I speak the same practice, the pronunciation part, accent automatically comes after it. It will be very, very small part of English language learning. But pronunciation has structural movement, the way it has to be taken, where the language originates in this particular portion. Sometime which part of the body, the abdomen, the throat region, or the nasal, or the mouth, lips, or the dental and the lips, or the cheek, or alveolar, the ridges of mouth, any part, what part moves, what part is properly used, and that makes the pronunciation accurate. So let's study a little bit of, let me pronounce a few words in these 3 accents, as I said. I start with UK, second is United States, a third one will be Australia. So try to practice as much as possible by you, to any extent by you, because until you are thoroughly comfortable with that language, to have to take it out, how to speak. There are huge study we have, because learning accent is, or learning, updating yourself, the pronunciation part, how to make yourself comfortable with that. And that itself is like as if you're learning music from the very beginning. If you do not love it, it will not give you the love back. You should not be a person who just wants to speak for the people so that just to flaunt. And that's not the learning. Learning it's a practice of absolution. It's it's a practice of going deep and the depth of learning that makes a lot of sense. So here, a few words I'll try to speak, and yes, I'll start with the first word and the second. You should understand how the difference goes on. Even you can catch my left movement, you can catch that too. The first one I start with, I repeat. I start with British accent. Second is States, United States. A third one is Aussies. So the first one, UK, a word, tomato. An American speaker is tomato, and Aussie it becomes tomato. They're very easy to understand. First one is tomato. Second, tomato. Third one, tomato. Next word is modern. It is spoken. So that is correct. It is not even accent alone. The pronunciation of the word itself is modern. And if it is American, it becomes modern. And if it's become an Aussie speaks, it becomes modern. Similarly, another word that is time. It is British accent. And an American speaks, it is time. And an Aussie speaks, it is time. The next word is dance. And here one particular thing you have to learn. When we speak a word, if it has an, if it conjunct or positioned in such a way, the way it is like, it is written D-A-N-C-E. So we have to speak the word. It is not da-ns. You should not use N word there, N letter there. It should be da-ns, dance. There should be a nasal application. The nostrils have to supply or support the word. So it should be spoken the same way what I'm speaking is called. It will be dance. So when it comes to US, it becomes dance. When it becomes Australian, it becomes dance. Difference you understood? Interesting. So next word is vitamin. A British accent, the actual pronunciation of the word is vitamin. It becomes an American, it becomes vitamin. And Australian, it is almost the same, it is vitamin. And another common word which is commonly used, the word almost everyone eats banana. Yes. And it is banana. It becomes an American accent. And banana, that is Australian. So banana, we have to learn more about the short vowel, long vowel, how it is used, how it's applied, and how this movement is. And that is, so I repeat, this all the words, few words, I repeat all the words, it doesn't, so it makes, you have to, this particular episode, the next 15-20 minutes, what you will listen is the variance of accent. So we should focus on these variances or the primary. So that's why I use the first accent, British accent, because that is the most authenticated accent which one has to learn, because that is 95%, as I had all the time in the episode, it is pronunciation of the word. We have to move. That is very, I would say it's essential to learn the pronunciation. I repeat. Tomato, tomato, tomato. Modern, modern, modern. Time, time, time. Dance, dance, dance. Vitamin, vitamin, vitamin. Banana, banana, banana. One or two more words I would like to include here for your comfort. One is go. This is how Patricia speaks. So it becomes, an American speaks, it becomes go. And there is a lot of changes. And what is the change happens right now in this episode? I may not be able to speak. In the coming episodes, the forthcoming episodes, I'll explain what position you have to keep and how the air comes out of the mouth. So an Australian speaker is go. So go, go, and go. The short vowel is used by Australians. And the word, the content's name Australia itself, it is Australia, it is Australia. So these are the differences here I can specify. The actual pronunciation of a Britisher, how he speaks, it becomes Australia. And an American speaker is Australia. an Australian speaker is Australia. It is Australia for an Australian. It's Australian accent. It's not Australian accent for them because it is. So every country has its own specification of accent, and so we should not run after the accent part. We should always focus on the pronunciation part, and that's what I would like to tell you again and again. These are the variants of accents which we have to understand, and we have to focus more on that. And if you speak any of this, may not impact the speech or the person who listens to that. Your capability of that language can be understood if you holistically learn the whole parameters of all this accent pronunciation. Then it will be impactful and interesting because you learn all the parameters how it is spoken. For example, if you stick to the first of the list, that is called, I already told you, British accent, the British pronunciation, or you would say Cambridge, or even I would say Oxford pronunciation. I think I prefer you to learn the British accent first, so that it will be all easier, and it will be very interesting to learn. Because the rest of our things are very interesting and easier. Even why Asian communities, even Indians, also prefer more of American accent, because it doesn't have such strong stress points, strong syllables are used. It has weak syllables and has very weak stress points. It is easy to handle. So that's the reason how people prefer more. Originally in India, it was learned, the British accent. If you go back to the time, there are brilliant people who speak in India who originally speak, because there are wonderful speakers in India too. They still stick to British pronunciation. That is the most authentic way. So we have to always careful about the pronunciation, not the accent part. So more things how to explain. If it is, but mostly it had been seen that, as I said, is it is because of the flat and easy maneuverability of the accent of Americans, why Indians or Asian communities prefer. Whereas the British accent has a strict and structural sound parameters, which are not flexible so easily and which cannot be. For example, if I tell you, I want more water. So if I speak in this way, I want more water. I want more water. So these differences, if you understand, please lend your ears properly. Listen carefully. I come close to the camera and to tell you that way, how to change that way. I want more water. I want more water. So John, please give me a glass of water. So this becomes a British accent. I want more water. And whereas an American speaks the same way, John, I want more water. Can you give me a glass of water? So this difference, I'm talking about water, more. So British doesn't speak more. More is Americans. So it is easy to speak more. It has a structural ending of R and E. So these letters, that's what I said, the difficulty level increases with the British accent, but once you learn it, it's quite interesting. You cannot loosen the language. You cannot go freak the language in British accent, and that has beauty of speaking as well. Well, now listen to the sentences which I like to speak again, and I speak now in two accents, the first UK and the US accent followed by. So I repeat that which I spoke. So the first I'm saying about how you start when you talk to somebody else. So we always start with a greeting word, maybe hello or something else we speak. So here I'm talking, hello, John, I want a piece of paper. Hello is spoken by Patricia. John, J is taken strongly, and John, so John, I want a piece of paper. So, hello John, I want a piece of paper. This is British accent. It is very interesting at the same time, the structural, the syllable division and the stress division, how it moves one place to another. That is quite interesting. At the same time, it makes you a wonderful speaker, if you learn it. And in British accent, the word hello is spoken as hello. And the first letter of John is stressed. I repeat all things for you. And the word paper has two stress points. It is per and pay, paper. And the last E and R is not pronounced, the pronunciation of that particular, this pronunciation part, that is somehow omitted and somehow flexibly placed in this way. It is paper. A syllable is used, so it doesn't have a paper. You don't have to spell it becomes an American, so it becomes more paper. John, so John is a string. Hello, and that's the same. Hello, John, I need or I want more paper. Per and per. Where I should come, should be careful. Per and paper. That's it. Now the same sentence is spoken by a US man. So the same HELLO, it becomes hello. No, hello is spoken by British and hello. So hello, John, I want a piece of paper. I want a piece of paper. Here I'm mixing with American and British. So here the difficulty of people, I'm talking people who listen, they get confused and you can be easily caught and you are not stuck with you are not disciplined while learning it. So it should be hello John. So it won't become John, it becomes John. I want a piece of paper. So we can even say that I want a piece of paper. John, I want a piece of paper. So it is flattened, and that's what I said. Easy maneuverability of words and letters that makes people choose English accent, US English accent commonly. So what you learned, is it confusing or interesting? I'd like to know more about this, how you learn, how you visualize the things, what I talk to you, what I tell you. And this particular episode of Community is exclusively made by this, fundamentals of all things, because I found it is my duty to tell you, because being a trainer for almost 17, 18 years globally, because people have been positioned in places, it's my duty, I found that way, to tell the world, because my Rex Talks channel is not only for global topics to discuss, it becomes very heavy sometimes. Let the people learn as well. That is more important here. That is the reason why 10 episodes exclusively for learning communication. Even for interviews in the coming series, all will be there. So let's focus more on this. Every kind of learning will be a little tiring in the end, and will be tiring in the beginning. And tiring in the end, that will be a tiring of interest. You are interesting, and you have a lot of enthusiasm, and you're tired, but you're not going to retire. You're tired that time. But in the beginning, that tiring means it becomes exhausting. That exhaustion can create a little bit of a negative mentality, or you can withdraw from the learning practice, because initial, the first step, as always says, it's a little hard. So we should not go back to your basics. You are learning a new basic. So that's it. And that makes it interesting, depends on your interest, because this particular accent learning depends on your interest, how you learn, how much you are interesting, how much dedicated you are to learn it. So this interest you learn and how much interesting it is depends on how much interesting you are towards the language, how much loyal you are to the language while learning. So learners, I would say, any part of the world who do not have English as mother tongue, they can all learn this way. How to improve the pronunciation accents. Now it is clear to you, pronunciation is more important. It requires complete observation of authentic speakers of English language. You should avoid English spoken in other languages. If you are learning accent or pronunciation, you should completely avoid it. People who are not an expert, and people who are amateur, who speak and who teach, you should avoid as much as possible. And as it will not help improve your pronunciation or accent. Listen to the same audio or video many times, the same things what I speak, and my videos can be watched particularly, so that will help you confirm one accent, and until you understand each word spoken in each episode. So you should undergo the basic rules of pronunciation from always an expert. That is my first and foremost suggestion every time. English spoken in other languages has plenty of errors, and that are often heard on TV or on other forms of informative media. We can see many times, as most of them do have their mother tongue influences on almost every word is spoken. And that is somehow, because let me ask you, you're learning one language, right? And you learn, for example, an Arabian language. If an Arab's language, if you learn in the format of Hindi, that would not match, because if Hindi is learned in that way, Arabian language cannot be matched with its own dignity or its own validity or authentication, I always say. Spanish language is spoken in such a manner it cannot be mixed with English language. English is spoken with its own parameters, so it should be spoken in such a manner. So we have the variances. So this mother tongue influence create a lot of impact on a word, accent, and pronunciation, and that makes a lot. So if you learn the pronunciation correctly, this accent problem won't emerge while speaking to somebody else. So the syllable problem, because in each language has different syllables and different divisions, different formats, different way of even the speed, the tempo of speaking, that's also different. Even it is said that by British language, I would say English language, is spoken. You should not, while speaking in a word, in a minute, you should not speak more than 120, 125 words. More than that, it won't look sound or interesting. That just a formal communication I'm talking about, the same speed you have to maintain. So that makes the conversation, that makes the listening or even the speech interesting, and it is nice to deliver any kind of lecture. But at the same time, when you friendly, casual talk, you can exceed. That's not, I'm talking formal talks, formal communication. You should maintain this word limit. That's extremely important while talking English language to somebody else. You may think for a moment that if you learn all the dialects of your mother tongue, seems funny and not important for an effective learner. Why you have to learn all the varieties of dialects around? The same by English accent, when you learn, you don't have to think about all variants of different countries, different regions that may not influence to become a good speaker, an efficient communicator. Similarly, English language here too, the same is spoken. So you should learn the most authenticated one that I prefer. I always recommend, as I recommended 2-3 times in this episode as well. You should stick to the pronunciation of Oxford or Cambridge, and that is what we call the UK or the British accent. So we should focus more on accent learning. If you want to learn accent, we should primarily focus on the pronunciation part, and that is alone will help you, and that what makes the difference in communication. Whenever you talk to a non-English communicator, a non-English language learner, or English language learner, wherever you talk, you have to maintain your respect and your dignity of communication. That means the learner and how to learn, how deeply you'll learn it. So all this and more will be discussed further, because all things cannot be discussed. And because I always keep a time from 20-25 minutes, because I want the listeners or the viewers may not be bored with each episode, because they can one go, they can speak. So I will ask you more questions about this in the coming series. You can answer, you can even put up your own questions here. You can bring up new ideas, what exactly you want to hear from me. And the next episode will be something which is different from this. May not be about accent, but at the same time, in each episode, I'll try to bring wherever it is possible about the accent part. You want to learn more, the pronunciation part. It's a holistic exercise. You cannot learn 1 day or 2 days. So we start with the whole episode, the whole program of this communicator series of 10 episodes. This is the second episode, and it all tells about how well you can become a good communicator. What's your standing position, that's his posture, and what your body language. This all can be exercised or spoken or discussed in the forthcoming series. Till then, and I wish you a wonderful listening and learning practice with me and with my Rex Talk. And whenever you have any kind of queries or something, you can even log on, you can even change your aspirations, change your interest to something more interesting than this, and that means you can raise your question. That's what I'm talking about. So you can raise your questions, you can ask me questions, and you can even log on www.scarptvm.com or www.planetrixworld.com. Any of both are my institutions, and you can access on anyway. So even the numbers will be displayed on this episode at the bottom. So that's all about today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, you may subscribe it. And one request I have here, I would like to say, I do not like to compel or force anyone to subscribe my channel. If you are a good learner, if you enjoyed it, if you liked it, if you're really a serious learner, because this is my episode, my exercise, my hard work is not just for plain fun. There's no fun in my learning, because it's all about hardcore learning, so exercise, so years of experience. So if you liked it, if you really found it is interesting, if you learned something there, please subscribe and please raise questions and please like it and please you can forward as well. So till the next episode, it's goodbye time. Thank you and good night.